Hi guys, a good evening to the new YouTube video. This is a new video in which I'll be discussing about the constructors and overloading concept and then destructors and this pointer. Okay, this video will be a very sweet and short. I'll be discussing very minimal amount of topics and the definitions of constructors and destructors, and then this pointer example, and what is meant by function overloading and constructor overloading. So let's move on to our first topic, constructors. So constructor is a special member function. It is also a member function in our class, but it is a special member function which is used to initialize the objects automatically. That is, it is also called as automatic initialization of objects. Such member function is called as constructor. Here the constructor has the same name as class name, and the return type of constructor is nothing. I mean, it does not even also has a void. Such concept is called as constructor. Okay, let me write constructor. Okay, what is meant by constructor? It is a special member function, right? It is a special member function, and it is a member function and it is a special member function. Constructor is used to initialize the objects automatically. That is, whatever the object when we are creating in our main function, if there is any in a constructor in a class, then it will automatically initialize the objects with that constructor. It is also called as automatic initialization. It is also called as automatic initialization of objects. So this is the topic about constructors, and I have said that constructor has same name as same class name. This is one point, and a constructor having no return type. No return type. That is, okay. I'll be explaining an example. Okay, briefly, and one more point is we are no return type. Even void also not accepted. Not even the void. So these are the simple definition of a constructor. Important points of constructor are, I mean, constructor or destructor participate in only constructor participate in overloading. Okay, these participate in overloading, and a constructor is always inside the public, and constructors are invoked. They are invoked at the time of object creation. So this is the topic regarding a constructor. I hope it is visible. So it is a special member function. It is used to initialize the objects automatically. It is also called as automatic initialization of objects, and has same name as class name. Okay, and no return type, not even the void. Okay, note the important points are these participate in overloading concept, and it is inside the public function. It is always inside the public access specifier. These are invoked at the time of object creation. Okay, so I'll be explaining with an example of constructor. So, so let's write hash include iostream using namespace std. Okay, for example, our class is an sample. Here we are having integer x comma y. So in public we are going to assign a constructor. We have discussed it has same name as class name, right? Okay, so we'll call this as an constructor because it is having a same name as class name, and it is present in public, and it has no return type, so it is called an constructor. definition or declaration. Here, for example, I'm assigning x equal to 20 and y equals to, no, I'll directly print cout x equals to 10 and y equals to 20. I'll print x and y. Let's check it. So this is our class completion. This is our constructor. Let's move on to main function. Before I have said that it is an automatic initialization of objects, right? So I am going to call the object. This is our class name, and this is my object, that is it is my object. So whenever I'm writing this, so automatically it will move to the constructor block. So or whatever the constructor block present, it will initialize, I mean the memory is allocated when the time of object creation, right? So whenever I'm writing s, it will directly, when I compile, it will directly take the values x equals to 10 and y equals to 20, and it will directly print without even I'm calling the function. So let's check, is this right or wrong? So new one, it should print 10 and 20. So see guys, I did not call any member function, unlike with the help of dot operator. I'm just created an object s. I'm not even calling the sample, right? Because whenever I'm writing this statement, it will directly move on to sample constructor. It will directly take whatever the elements present in it, and it will print on itself. So this is the topic of constructor. I hope you understand. And we have constructor, three different types of constructors. Let me take another block. Types of constructors. First is compiler based, and another is default constructor, and third one is parameterized. So these are the three different types of constructors. First one, compiler based is, I mean whenever we are using member functions in our class, in our function, right? So for example, before example we have read that get and put are member functions, right? So if you want to know that, you can please go back and check my previous examples. I mean whatever the member functions that are present is, C++ is on compiler based, right? So that functions will be on compiler based. And second one is default constructor. Okay, default constructor means here there are, we are not passing any types of parameters, right? So these are default constructors. So whenever we are passing the parameters, then it would become an parameterized constructor. So that's it, three different types of constructors. And let's move on to our next topic, constructors. Constructor overloading. Okay, what is mean by constructor overloading? Let me write here, constructor overloading. Before moving on to constructor overloading, let's analyze what is function overloading. Function overloading, it is a concept that in a same class we can create n number of member functions, or we can create n number of functions in a class with the same name. Okay, with the same name we can create n number of member functions by changing the number of arguments or type of arguments. Such concepts is called as function overloading. Similarly, on basis on that, constructor overloading is that it is a process of, it is a process of making constructors as many as we like by changing the with same name in same class, with same name in same class by changing the type of or number of arguments. Such concepts is called as constructor overloading. The definition is clear, I guess, because here, whatever the in a class we have constructors, right? So if you want to declare another constructor, it would be same name, right? But if you want to differentiate a little bit, so I'm changing the parameters in my constructor. So such topic is called as constructor overloading. So let's move on to an example of constructor overloading. Control N. This is exactly same. Everything is same here. So this is a sample, right? Let me take this. To here it is everything same. Okay, this is a default constructor. So I'm making another constructor name as same name as sample, class name, and for example, take as, let's find area. Okay, enter length, comma, enter breadth. So x would be my length and y would be my depth. Okay, so guys, this is these two are two different constructors, and this is an parameterized, because we are passing the parameters from a main function, right? So this is called as parameterized constructor, and this is an default constructor because here we don't have any constructors, parameters present in a constructor. So this is an default and this is an parameterized constructor. So let's move on to our main function. So whenever I'm creating an object s, that is sample s, so directly it will move on to this block. Okay, let's create another function called as void big, void big or void area, return x into y. So when I am writing integer, so our return data type would be integer. So object creation is completed. So whenever I'm calling this constructor, because it does not have any type of parameters, right? So this will move to this constructor. So x will be 10 and y would be 20. So for example, I'm here integer p equals to h dot area. So I'm printing default constructor area is, it would be my p, right? So perfect. After that, I'm calling another constructor sample s. Okay, s of 10. So what, whenever I'm passing s 10 and 20, it has arguments, right? So whenever our compiler reads this, it will directly move on to this parameterized constructor, because two integers are present and two integers are present in a parameterized constructor. So it will directly move on to this constructor, and x would be reading length and y would be reading breadth. So for example, for not confusion, okay, so similarly take q, and the q would be my s dot area. Okay, everything is fine. Let's compile it. Sample, for example, take s1. Reopening permission denied s1 dot area. Final linked. Okay, Okay, this is an default and this is an parameterized constructor. Sample. Okay, reopening user desktop, permission denied. Okay, so what happened here is 10 and 20 are x and y, right? So whenever I'm calling this function, I mean p dot s area, first object is created, and then we are going to read x equals to 10 and y equals to 20. So after that we are calling int area, right? So 10 into 20 will be my 200. After that I'm creating another object 10 comma 20 that will directly point to my parameters constructor, and that will be reading x and y value. And after that reading I'm calling s1 constructor to my area, so that would be returning my here I am 10 passing 10 and 20, right? For example, I'll be passing 1 and 2. My area would be, first is 10 into 20, that would be 200, and here my output would be 2 into 1 2. So I'm calling constructor, and then I'm calling area, and then I'm printing. This is not default, this is parameterized constructor. Okay, it's fine. 202 would be my answer. Okay, that's it, guys. This is a topic about overloading of an constructor. I mean, we can declare as many constructors we can in a main function, I mean class, but by changing the number of arguments or type of arguments. I mean, if you want to create another, for example, here constructor integer length, integer x, integer y, or for example float of z. So if you want to return this, return x into y into z. So that's it. Another constructor is being created. So for example, if you want to access this also, we have to create another constructor s3 dot, for example, int p equals to taken float, because answer would be my float, right? Float r equals to s3 dot area. So before that I have to pass the parameters, right? Because it is a parameter constructor, 10 20 and 10.1. So whenever I'm passing these parameters, it is an two integers and one float, right? So that will be going into this constructor. This is also a parameterized constructor, but it has different parameters than compared to this parameters constructor, right? So whenever I'm passing these parameters, it will directly move on to this constructor. So I'll be returning getting this value. So I'll be printing simply dot area. Okay, after that c out of r, let's check it, x, y, and z, returning a value from, okay, uh, sorry, here I'm not going to return, right? I have to assign x, mm, x equals to, for example, take uh, uh, this is an, I'm passing two constructors only, right? So if you want to create another area, okay guys, it is taking a lengthy, control c, control v, return x into y into z, area l, let's name it area l. So here I'll be passing some x equals to uh, a, b, and for example c, a would be my x, b would be my y, and c would be my z, returning a b c. And at last I'm calling h dot area of length. c equals to, so default constructor parameter same, and this is passing 2000, right? So because 10 into will be 200 and 200 into 10 will be my 1000, so that's why it is printing 2000 area of a third constructor. So that is about constructor overloading. Let's move on to next topic. What is mean by destructors? Okay, destructors. Destructors also a special member function which is used to, okay, it is also a special member function which is used to erase the memory that is created by the constructor. Such topic is called as destructor. Okay, it is also a member function, special member function, special member function. Okay, it is used to delete the space created by the constructor. Okay, this is the simple definition of a constructor. I mean, whatever the constructor, it acquires the space. So if you want to delete that space with the help of destructor, we can simply delete it. And this does not participate in overloading. Okay, note. It is also having same name as constructor, same name as class. Class name, same name as class name. But we are having a grid operator. And third point would be it does not participate in function overloading or overloading concept. So that's it. Let's move on to our coding part of destructors. So up to here everything is same. Let me take it. So I'll be closing my first class. Okay, we are created a class sample. In that we are having int x comma y. So I am initializing x equals to 10 and y equals to 20, and this is in my constructor. So if I want to create a destructor, first we are going with the help of grid operator. This is our grid operator, and we are writing the same name as a class name. So this is my destructor. Okay, after that I am printing x is x, and then endl y is my y. So that's it. We have called and this is constructor, this is destructor, but whenever we are adding a grid operator in front of a name, so that would become a destructor. So indeed, for example, int main sample s. So I have created an object, right? So we know that constructor is invoked at the time of object creation. So whenever an object is created as, it will directly move on to this default constructor and read the values as x equals to 10 and y equals to 20. So that would be my constructor concept. So what is mean by destructor is, here we have to delete the space, right? So after this line, it would directly go on to the completion of a main function, right? So this is an local member variable. Local member variables, we know that it will work only until that function. So whenever a function gets closed, that space occupied by the object will be destroyed. So whenever I'm closing this bracket, it will directly move on to this. So I mean, whatever the remaining functions present in a code, it will directly move on to this part and will print this before the execution of completion of program. So let's check, it will print 10 and 20 or not. So yes, it is printing printing x equals to 10 and y equals to 20. But because constructor is printing only this only x equals to 10, y equals to 20, right? But if you are using destructor, after the completion of an object creation, it will directly moving on to this function, destructor. So whatever the elements present x equals to n, reading after the object creation, it gets read x equals to 20 and y equals to 20. After that, at the time of completion of our program, it is going to destructor and it is reading this. So that's it for destructors. Ah, After that, our last topic is this pointer. Okay, we have read that this pointer is used to access the our whatever the data we are sending from the parameters from a main function, and to access the private member functions. So it is a U process, because here from here we are sending, and with the help of public data members that we are going to assign it. So let's take an example of this pointer. To here is same. Let's take it. Let's see. Let's remove this constructor. We don't have with this constructor. So let's take a simple example. Void get cin of a x and y. Okay, this is no need. Initialize x equals to 10 as x equals to 1 and y equals to 2. Okay, so if you want to find the address of this pointer, simply write address equals to this pointer. And if you want to uh, print this value, x and y value, so x is this dot x, and the same line for y, this dot y. So whenever I'm calling this member function, it will print all the contents present in it. So what is my member function? Class name is sample. I'm taking as an object s dot get. So it will move on to this member function. It will take x equals to 1 and y equals to 2, and address would be my this pointer address will be printed first, and after that the value of x is, here we are assigning x equals to 1, right? Whatever the pointer we are assigning this to x will be stored in this. This will be stored in this, and after that it will be printing new file. Our output would be 1 and 2. Okay, that's it. X equals to 1 and y equals to 2. The address of a this pointer is null value, right? Garbage value, so it is printing a garbage value. So if you want to know more detail, so let's create another function. Let's delete it. Void for example test. Here I'm going to send the parameters from our main function into x a comma into b. So this is my constructor, right? So whenever I'm passing parameters from my main function, s of, here I have to pass 10 and 20, right? And some p equals to integer. So yes, here I am passing two parameters that will be stored in a equals to 10 and b equals to 20, right? So how I have to access x and y into a? So one method is simple, x equals to y and, sorry, x equals to a and y would be my b. So not only this, if we have a string or another to that is not accessible every time, because for example if you are having values in x and y, that would be different. So with the help of this pointer, this dot x equals to a and this dot y would be my b. So with that, I'm getting parameters from main function. I have to print it here, right? So I'll be printing in put function c out of x comma y. Let me call s dot put function sample s of 10 comma 20. I have to call sorry, this is not a constructor, right? So s dot test of 10 comma 20 sample s, sorry, 10 comma 20 will be moving on to that, and after that the put function, I'm calling put function, right? So x will be stored in, a will be stored in x, sorry, a will be stored in x and b will be stored in y with the help of this pointer. And after that I'm calling put function that in that x and y are going to print it. So this is the concept about this pointer. So that's it for video. I'll be making my next video on problems, I mean main coding types, front function and another functions. So stay tuned, and if you have any doubts, please let me know in my comments. Thanks for watching this video.